Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another video. It feels absolutely amazing out here. Alhamdulillah, it's not too cold and brisk. It's like just right, perfect. Um, but if the rain comes, then it's gonna get real chilly. Like it's gonna be chilly. What they say, I don't like saying that, but the hawk, we call it in Philly, the hawk comes out. It's hawking, it's cold. But you really actually get to feel the ice cold if you are near the water. If you go near the water, it's freezing, it's icy. It's teeth chattering, shivering. You get the shivers, and your teeth start to chatter. That's how cold it is. We actually did a sisters meet up down by the Corniche in the winter last year. Was it last year? I think it was last year. I can't remember. It was around this time. And when I tell you that the food we brought out was ice cold, by the time we served it on the plates, it was ice cold. But alhamdulillah, they still ate it. But it was icy. That was crazy. But yeah, it gets pretty cold. So this video is gonna be I guess a continuation of something of my Yemeni series, since I got a request to share some of the benefits that I got from watching from Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab al Wassabi rahimahullah. I never got around to it. Um, so I'll get that done in this video, just sharing some benefits and some of the things I realized as well from being in the company of a scholar's family and observing the Sheikh in his home. But first I want to say this, and it's especially for the stalker that watches my channel, who I was in Yemen with. I was there, subhanAllah, with a khabith individual, a troubled individual, a troubled person. And he used to ask me to bring him information, about like what goings on in the Sheikh's house, because of course I'm dealing with the women. So this person, Allah Yahdi, Allah Hadana wa Hadahu, he used to ask me questions about what went on in the Sheikh's house and what kind of like ordered me to tell him, but I didn't. I would share simple things like food or you know maybe simple chit chat that we had, but he actually wanted information to try to use it against the Sheikh later, and I'm gonna tell you why I know that. Because this individual used to sit in the Sheikh's classes, and then he will come home and tell me that one particular time he gave me some criticism from some of the shuyukh who they don't like that their hands and their foreheads be kissed and things like that, right? They don't allow the common people to do it. But you have some other men who they will allow the common people to kiss them on their forehead or, like that. So, and I gotta mention something else. That's how crazy people are. So, this individual actually had the nerve to point out the fact that some of the Tulab would kiss Sheikh Muhammad on the forehead, and then he would say Yeah, know that yeah, it's something wrong with that. The Sheikh got issues, and just remember I told you that for later. You know, like if he gets a rad or something, someone refutes him, just know that I told you he got problems. And I'm looking at this person like, I would have been like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? And the most ironic thing is, because I have children with this individual, and that's another story. I have children with this person, and unfortunately, my children have been raised on the minhaj of this individual, which is the minhaj of Ahl al-Hawa, people of desires. It's all in the way that they speak. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. But he's a deviant. He's a deviant. He's always been a deviant. You know, but that's another affair. Y'all don't know. Some of you might know who he is, but you know, it's not important for me to mention his name. But yeah, my ex-husband, he made my time there hell when I spent it with him. The time I spent with the Sheikh and the neighbors were the most ahla ayyam fi hayati. They were the most beautiful days of my life. They made me forget that I was even with that person. MashaAllah. So yeah, just back to that individual. He actually implements same thing he was trying to criticize the Sheikh for. According to one of my children, the way that they grew up, because I was deprived of seeing them after we left Yemen. You know, my children were gone. Basically, I'll say that they were taken from me, and I hadn't seen them since they were little, small, since like 2 years old, like that. Um, and I recently talked to one of them, and they said they were raised kissing this person's hands and forehead. Ironically, isn't that something? Of course. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Every time I get a chance, don't mind me. Every now and again, because I know the person stalks my channel, I'm going to do a little refutation and bring up some uh, some old time memories, statements, and actions that this person did that's against the Sunnah. But anyways, let's get into Sheikh Muhammad, rahimahullah. So of course myself and there's another sister, she's American, another family that was with us. We got close to the Sheikh's family, and we spent a lot of time with them. We would visit them every day. But when we first got there, we stayed with them for 2 weeks. I think I mentioned that in the Yemeni series. So, but we would visit them every day. So Sheikh Muhammad, actually, the Masjid al-Sunnah, was connected to his home. You can leave out from the first floor of his house, because he had 3 levels, and go right into the masjid. It's like a little walkway, and then you would be in the back door of the masjid. So some of the Talibat, they would come and visit the Sheikh's wives. Well, his first wife, she lived on the first floor, and then they would go into the masjid after, talking to her and things like that. And the Sheikh also had speakers in his home on all 3 floors, so that his wives could benefit from the classes, because they didn't always come to the masjid. The best place for the women is the home. So they didn't need to come to the masjid, but he wanted them to benefit from the classes, so he actually placed speakers in his home so that they can hear the classes when he gave them, mashallah. The Sheikh had he had a library in the apartments for his first wife and his second wife. The third wife, she didn't have a library because her place was smaller than the other two. Their homes were extremely beautiful, opposite of what that individual told me, that a scholar, a learned person, would have a woman living in a shack and would give her, he knows what her rights are, so he would give her minimal rights and probably have her eating beans. It was actually the opposite, mashallah. I saw how an alim treats his wives, well, the effects rather. I didn't see him interacting with his wives. The effects of his treatment of his wives. They loved him to death. When I tell you, they were head over heels, all three. His first wife had 10 children. Second wife had 3 children at the time. This was 2001, remind you. And the third wife was new. She had only been married a year. She had 1 baby. All of their places, well, the second 2 places, the second wife and the third wife, their places were magnificent. MashaAllah. The decor, the rugs, the carpets, the furniture, everything. And they all showed me their jewelries and how much it cost, the dowry, the mahar that the Sheikh paid. MashaAllah, the Sheikh was wealthy too, rahimahullah. He also had a level on the top of the masjid for the Talibat. And I believe on the male side it was the same. It was like a huge house. If y'all know what a house is, it's like usually that's like a front porch, with the walls around it. Y'all see when you're in the Muslim lands, like in the Gulf, and even Yemen, they have the tall walls around the house so that you can't see in. So when you walk inside of the gates of the house, that's like a house. So there was something like that on the roof of the masjid. And then there was a big library for the women, for the student women to study. If they wanted to stay over, they could. Um, and there were classes, of course, for the women, both Arabic classes, Nahu, Fiqh. There were teachers, sisters teaching in the masjid uh, for the Talibat who wanted to learn grammar and things like that. So when I was one time I remember being in the Sheikh's house. I would stay over when the Sheikh would go on his tours around Yemen to give dawah. I would sleep over. And I remember his second wife, I had gotten really close to her. She gave me a copy of the Sheikh's book, Kola Mufid. I still have it. MashaAllah, the original copy, I still have it. And, I hold that book dear to me because, of course, at the time I couldn't understand that much to be able to go through the book because I was in the beginning of my Arabic, very, very early. Just like vocabulary and just trying to understand the grammar and things like that from Arabic. Like you can't even, there's no English translation. You just gotta try to understand the Arabic from Arabic. So I was in very, very early stages. So, but I kept the book because I said, inshallah, I'm gonna go through this book. I want to keep it and I'm gonna go through it. It was a gift from the Sheikh's wife. And like I said, I still have it. It's in my library, and you know, I like to go through it from time to time. So, it was one time the Sheikh was there, and I had my son, because I used to bring the kids with me to the masjid, and going down memory lane. So, Yemen is bittersweet. It's bittersweet, subhanAllah. Bittersweet. It was so many defining moments being there. It literally defined my next steps in my life. And it made a lot of clarity for me. You know, lies were uncovered, misconceptions were lifted and made clear. Things that you are taught or told in America by people, you go and see it for yourself in the Muslim lands, and it's the opposite. SubhanAllah. So it's bittersweet, but I want to dig into my memory and try to share with you all. So yeah, one time I was in the Sheikh's house with my children, and the Sheikh was there this time. Sheikh Muhammad was there, so I was in his second wife's house, and my son, my oldest son, he was 2 at the time. Uh, he had just turned 2, I think. Yeah. The Sheikh gave him some candy, like the little wrappy candies, and I was watching them. They were looking. They were at the window, and he was holding him. He picked my son up and was holding him. They were just looking at the window. First, Dean was standing next to him, and then he picked him up. He gave him some candy. He's looking out the window, and then he put him back down. And then the Sheikh put out his hand and asked him for a piece of the candy. That was so cute. I was like, look at them, mashallah. And of course, he gave him a piece. But I was just like, mashallah, I was just being nosy, looking out the room door to see what they were doing. And then another time, the Sheikh was there, but he was about to go on one of his tours, and it was during Ramadan. So I was like, asking his wife, I was like, ask the Sheikh, can I stay over? You know, can I spend a few nights? And his wife said, Sheikh Muhammad said, tell Ruqayya to stay in her house and go and read the Quran. Because he knows that the women, they like to chit chat, and it's a time for worship. So tell her to stay home. I was like, okay, mashallah, no problem, no problem. So, and it was questions that I used to have, again, connected to this individual who used to, stuff for the law, used to play games and lie on a religion, try to brainwash me. So I kept my questions, and then once I increased in my vocabulary, I would ask the Sheikh's wife, and that was so liberating. That was so liberating. I would ask the Sheikh's wife these questions that I had regarding what I was told and how this person, things they would try to control me with and brainwash me with, that just didn't sit right. So I would write the question. No, I didn't write them down. I would just ask her, in my broken Arabic, about the situation, and then she would ask the Sheikh, and then, a couple of days later I would visit again, and she would tell me what he said. And I was like, Allahu Akbar. Never told the person I was going to ask questions. I'm somebody who takes in information, keeps stuff to myself. I observe everything. I watch everything. I memorize everything. So, again, stalker. I was studying you the whole time, and you just thought I was a quiet little young sister. But I was watching you, and I learned you like the back of my hand. And I know all your moves. I know how you think. I know how you roll. But yeah, I got my questions answered, mashallah. And I kept them to myself, and I utilized them when I needed to. When the person tried to come with their brainwash again, once we got back to the States, I pulled out what the Sheikh said. Yes. No. The Sheikh said something different. He said, no, it is permissible for me to do that. No, that I can do this. No, that's not the case. What you said. That was liberating. Alhamdulillah. So, like I said, it's bittersweet. I apologize. I'm traumatized. I am traumatized. Okay? Told you I've been through a lot. So going back into this these Yemeni memories, you know, that person is a big part of it. So I'm just tying things together and giving you all of it. Well, not all of it, but things I think is befitting for me to say and remember. So let's see what else. Oh, now this is in no way anything against Sheikh Muhammad. This is actually to his merit. I'm going to mention it because it's to his merit, but it's not good because it came from one of his family members. Sheikh didn't know anything about it. So again, we were friends with the Sheikh's family, and the sisters in the in the neighborhood used to know us and things like that. We would visit some of them as well, some of the neighbors. But one of the Sheikh's family members came to the family, the sister who was living with me, and I think we had moved out though. Yeah, I think we moved out of that house with that other American family, but the sister was telling me about it because we used to go visit the Sheikh's house, so we would both be there. But anyway, she said that one of the family members of Sheikh Hassan came to visit her and asked the sister's husband for money because her brother was wealthy, and it was a nice lump sum. It was a large amount of money. And I don't know what story they told, but the brother gave him the money. And when we visited the Sheikh's wives, the sister was telling um, the Sheikh's first wife who was going, like, oh, this, did you know this happened? And the sister came and blah, blah, blah. So, of course, the Sheikh's wife told the Sheikh. And subhanAllah, the Sheikh got the money back and gave it back to the brother. He got the money back from her because the story was like it wasn't even true. And I think the American sister, went and mentioned it to the wife of the Sheikh because it sounded suspicious. But the issue is this: people get weak, you know. People get weak for money, unfortunately, especially when they know you're American and you're in a place where the people are kind of like, even if they're not poor, because this person wasn't poor. I don't know. I guess some people just can't resist. Like, you're American, you got money, I'm going to go ahead and ask you for some money. I don't know. It's like that sometimes, but, the integrity of the Sheikh, mashallah, he gave the money back, which was major. Let's see. What else can I remember? The Sheikh's daughters. Two of them. One was 17. He had a lot of children. 10 with the first wife. One was 17, the ones we were close to, and the other one was 12. She was so mature, though. SubhanAllah, she didn't act like a 12-year-old. She was so mature. So they weren't engaged or anything when we got there. And then all of a sudden, they're engaged. Well, the first one was engaged. The 17-year-old one was engaged. And then the 12-year-old told the Sheikh she wanted to get married. So the Sheikh found her, he got her a husband. And I was like, wait, you get married too? What happened? She was like, oh yeah, I said I wanted to get married, so he got me a husband. I was like, subhanallah. Wow. Okay. And guess what? The Sheikh didn't charge a lot for the mahar. He was on the sunnah, rahimahullah. And he didn't make the mahar expensive for the brothers. He made it according to their means. But the Sheikh paid an expensive mahar for his wives. So, because he knows that the people pretty much, they're ignorant. The people don't know sunnah. So he, acted according to the culture of the people. But even if an alim goes along with what's the norm of the people, they still teach the people the sunnah. And it's not, if you pay a high mahar, it doesn't mean you're going against the sunnah. The person who was requesting it is going against the sunnah. Well, I can't say that because the Sheikh was wealthy. So I can't even say. I'm not going to say that. But I'm speaking generally. If a person pays a high mahar, because that's what's going on, that's what the ignorant people are charging, then you have to pay it. I mean, you're gonna need to get married. It's blameworthy, but you know. But yeah, the mahar, the best mahar is the one that's easiest to pay. So if you have money, then you charge the wealthy man accordingly. And if you don't have money, you know, you're not wealthy or maybe you're middle class, then you pay accordingly. And if you're poor, then you pay accordingly. But you marry people that's according, you know, that's from your, as they say, menthobic. You know, you marry somebody that's from your clothing, not above your clothing for the men. Because a woman can marry anybody. It doesn't matter if she's poor. Poor women can marry a rich man, but it's not the opposite. Opposite is not true all the time, and it's not appropriate for many reasons. Um, Causes problems. I didn't know that at first, but yeah, it does. It definitely does. When you're not from the same class of people, religion is supposed to be the basis, but economic situations, backgrounds, upbringings, what people are used to, their mindsets really show in marriage. It really shows. It does. So it's not it's not always appropriate to marry someone who's if the woman comes from a certain class background, it's not appropriate for her to marry a person who doesn't come from her background. He's from a background that's uh I don't want to use the wrong words, but I think y'all understand what I mean. I don't want to use the wrong words. I don't want to offend anybody. But basically someone that's not appropriate for her, that can't keep her where she's used to. It's not appropriate. It's going to be a clash. The just the functioning is different. The mindset is different. The way that uh, you know, trying to have agreement on how you raise the children is different. It should be enough, the religion, but unfortunately people put their culture first, you know, or what they know from when they grew up. This is how they did it at home, and this is how their parents did it, or they just don't see certain things. This is, yeah, it has its place. That's all I'm gonna say. So, Sheikh married his daughters off, and the women, you know, did their thing. They had a party. I wasn't allowed to go. Um, yeah, I wasn't allowed to go. So I heard about it from the American sister. Mashallah, she said it was everyone had fun. I did get a chance to go during the daytime. Actually, the walima. I went to the walima where they fed the people. I stopped in and ate, but the party at night I wasn't allowed to go. Ramadan. After Ramadan. Yeah, after Ramadan, the Eid. Of course, you know the Muslims they wanna keep going. The Eid time come around, they wanna keep going. They have to, right? The Sheikh made announcements over the loudspeaker into the neighborhood. Eid al-Fitr is one day. Eid al-Adha is 3 days. Eid al-Fitr is one day because they wanted to keep going. So I was like, mashallah, Sheikh reminding the people, you know. But that was major to have an alim right in your neighborhood, you know. That was just absolutely amazing. And a ni'mah for the people. Um, you know, that was a beautiful thing. So I think I told you all that I was deported, and the American brother as well as my ex-husband was arrested because they wouldn't leave. It was after 9/11 had happened. So Yemen wanted all foreigners out. So my ex-husband didn't want to leave, and he was trying to take me down in what I call Tin Land, where the very, very, very poor people were, destitute people, and wanted me to go and hide down there with him. And I was like, absolutely not. That's insane. We need to leave. They're not playing. Why? Why? Why are you trying to stay here? For what? Let's just go to Egypt. Go back to Egypt. Like, I don't understand. What's the issue? He didn't want to leave. I'm on Hijrah and all this kind of crazy stuff. But anyway, um, we got arrested. Well, the men got arrested first, and then the armed, he was actually the military. The military came and got them. It was a whole scene. I'm not sure if I detailed it in the Yemeni series, but it was pretty traumatic. Pretty traumatic. But me and the children were in the house hiding, trying to be quiet. And but once the men were taken, the military came and got us the next day and took us to prison. And we were going to sit in that prison for I don't know how long. But mashallah, the Sheikh, Hamid, rahimahullah, he came. Wassabi is a very well-known name, a tribe in Yemen, specifically, and he was very, very well respected. So he came in and argued on our behalf, or what do you call it, intervened on our behalf, telling the authorities that we were his students, and he knows us, and to let us go and things like that. So they transported us. They listened to the Sheikh and they considered what he was saying, but they told him we were going to be deported. And they sent us to Sana'a after spending some time in the prison in Hudaydah. But, may Allah reward the Sheikh for him helping us, because Allah knows best what would have happened had he not intervened. And I think after that, no Westerners were like allowed to come in there. We were like the first and the last, because there was two of us as American families, and then there was a British family, and we were the only ones. We were the only ones living there. I'm not gonna say in the whole of Hudaydah, but I know where the Sheikh was at, they hadn't met any Americans before. So it was very foolish for you to try to squat in a country and thinking that you're going to get away with that, knowing that the whole neighborhood knows where the Americans are or the Westerners are. The British family was smart. Once Yemen made that announcement that they want everyone out, and they mean everybody, all foreigners got to roll, they were on the first thing smoking on a bus to Sana'a, and they were able to get out of Yemen. They were smart. But unfortunately, you can't buy intelligence, right? You can't buy smarts. You got foolish people who want to be rebellious and put their families in danger, trying to maintain a Hijrah that was a fail from the beginning. Who the heck told you to go to Hijrah to Yemen, make Hijrah to Yemen, when they took your passport at the airport? Genius. They took your passport at the airport and gave you a paper visa. How'd you think you were going to stay in Yemen on Hijrah? Genius. Yeah, lucky. So, yeah. That's pretty much it, as far as my interactions, or, what I can recall for now. The Sheikh's children, some of them were very, very, they had memorized the Quran, very mannerly. One of the 12-year-old, one of his sons at the time who was 12, I don't know his name because he was out of sight, out of mind. He knew it was women that were not his family members in the house. He was out of there. He came in one time. I was sitting in his mother's room in the first apartment, and he cracked the door and he shut that door so fast. He was like, "Who?" Like that's that's yeah. She's not my family, so mashallah. Um, very respectful. Um, you know, very respectful children. They're people. They were people. They were the first people who I saw practice Islam naturally. I saw women who loved their husband for Allah's sake. He would he used to the Sheikh used to bring his wives gifts every time he came back from a tour. Beautiful, beautiful. And when I would come over the next day, they would show me what the Sheikh brought them. I was like, oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Allahu musta'an. And I know that there's brothers out there, of course, who are good to their families. But unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to experience that. And you kind of consider birds of a feather flock together. The person who you're married to who has certain characteristics, they also befriend people who have the same characteristics. Or if they didn't have those characteristics, they poison their friends into having those same evil characteristics when it comes to women, when it comes to treating your wives as if they're insignificant, basically. So for me, like I said, Yemen was a defining moment in my life. Um, I'm a new Muslim. At the time, I was Muslim about, 3 or 4 years at the time. Yeah, 4 years. And mashallah, taught me so much. Taught me so much. And the rest is history. I left Yemen and I made my plan that inshallah that's what I'm doing forever. I'm overseas, inshallah. That's my home. I don't know which country, but that's my home. I was deported from Yemen for 10 years, by the way. 10 whole years. I wasn't allowed to go. And I know that's a nightmare when you get remarried and someone wants to actually go to Yemen, but you can't. That's a nightmare, But it is what it is. I was deported. They stamped in our passports, deported for 10 years. And, yeah, that's basically what I have, y'all. Thanks for listening. If y'all want to see Yemen, but without going there, when you come to UAE, go to Ras Al Khaimah. When I went to do a visa run, it was like a blast from the past. And I had so many mixed emotions when I saw the outskirts of Ras Al Khaimah. I was like, subhanAllah. And there was even Yemenis there, like in all the shops with their traditional imama and the what is it called? Oh, subhanAllah, I haven't said it in so... Izar, yeah. Izar. The Izars. Yeah. So, it was like a blast from the past, and that's when I realized, subhanAllah, I need to revisit some of those emotions, because it was like trauma when I first saw it, and then I got warm feelings of love and shok, like missing, you know what I mean? Like, man, subhanAllah,